Bodies found, evidence collected, suspects questioned. Yet decades later, the files sit untouched, still marked unsolved. Some of these cases are gruesome murders, others are chilling disappearances. A few are so strange they don't seem real at all. But what they all share is silence. No arrests, no closure, no justice. These are the cold cases that continue to haunt investigators, baffle experts, and terrify the rest of us. Case number 1. The Black Dahlia, 1947 Los Angeles. January 1947. A mother walking with her child spots something in a vacant lot. At first, she thinks it's a mannequin. It isn't. The body of 22-year-old Elizabeth Short was cut clean in half at the waist, drained of blood and arranged with surgical precision. The brutality was unlike anything the city had seen before. Newspapers dubbed her the Black Dahlia, turning her into both a victim and a symbol of Hollywood's darkest underbelly. Police investigated over 150 suspects, doctors, actors, even a few LAPD officers. But every lead dried up. For decades, theories have swirled. A jealous lover, a surgeon with medical skills, or even a serial killer operating under the radar. The truth? Lost in the smog of 1940s Los Angeles. More than 75 years later, the case is still open and still unsolved. Case number 2. The Zodiac Killer, 1960s, 70s. He started with a couple on a lover's lane, then another pair by a lake. Soon, he was sending letters to local newspapers, bragging, taunting, and terrifying. He called himself the Zodiac. His messages came with hand-drawn symbols and complex ciphers. Some were solved by amateur codebreakers. Others remain uncracked to this day. Police linked him to at least 5 murders, but he claimed dozens more. The suspects were endless. A school teacher, an ex-military man, even random neighbors. Books and documentaries pushed theories, but no one could prove anything. Even today, some online investigators think they've uncovered his identity, but law enforcement has never confirmed it. The Zodiac's mocking words still echo. I am waiting for a good movie about me. He never got caught, and he never stopped haunting California. Case number 3, Madeleine McCann. 2007. It was supposed to be a family holiday in Portugal. But on May 3, 2007, 3-year-old Madeleine McCann disappeared from her family's hotel room, while her parents dined at a nearby restaurant. The room's window was open. Her bed was empty. The case exploded into international headlines. The McCanns made emotional appeals on live TV. Investigators chased thousands of tips, alleged kidnappers, suspicious neighbors, even theories of human trafficking. For a time, the parents themselves were treated as suspects before being cleared. Even with worldwide attention, no solid evidence has ever surfaced. Madeleine's face has been on billboards, in news cycles, and in every missing child database for nearly 2 decades. And yet, no one knows where she went or who took her. Case number 4, JonBenét Ramsey, 1996. It's Christmas morning, Boulder, Colorado. The case shocked America. Theories pointed everywhere. From an intruder who slipped in during the night to suspicions aimed directly at the Ramsey family themselves. The handwriting on the ransom note, the lack of forced entry, and the bizarre behavior of investigators only deepened the mystery. Despite years of media coverage and endless documentaries, no one has ever been charged.
Out.
DNA evidence has offered clues, but no certainty. To this day, JonBenét's murder remains one of the most haunting child homicide cases in U.S. history. Case number 5, Jimmy Hoffa. 1975. Detroit, July 1975. Union leader Jimmy Hoffa, one of the most powerful labor figures in America, vanished after supposedly meeting with mafia associates at a restaurant. His car was found, but Hoffa was never seen again. Theories exploded. Was he murdered by the mob? Buried under Giants Stadium? Dumped in a river? Every few years, new claims emerge, and the FBI digs up a field or parking lot, hoping for answers. Nothing ever turns up. Nearly 50 years later, Hoffa's disappearance remains a symbol of power, corruption, and the mob's silent grip on American history. Case number 6, the Isdal Woman, 1970. In Bergen, Norway, hikers stumbled upon the charred body of a woman in a remote valley known as Death Valley. 2 locals, Her belongings were strange coded notes, disguises, wigs, and passports from multiple countries. All identifying marks had been removed from her clothes. Investigators determined she had been traveling across Europe under various fake identities. Some believed she was a spy during the Cold War. Others suspected murder, staged unaliving herself, or even government cover-up. Despite global attention, her true name and story were never uncovered. To this day, she is known only as the Isdal Woman, a ghost of the Cold War whose secrets burned away with her. Case number 7, The Boy in the Box, 1957, in Philadelphia. A young boy's body was discovered inside a cardboard box, wrapped in a blanket. He was between 3 and 7 years old. His hair had been crudely cut, and his body bore signs of neglect and abuse. Investigators scoured the country, printing flyers, checking missing child reports, and interviewing families. Still, no one ever identified him. The media called him America's unknown child. For decades, the case went cold. Then, in 2022, new DNA testing finally gave him a name: Joseph Augustus Zarelli. But while his identity is known, the question of who killed him and why remains unanswered. Case number 8, D.B. Cooper. 1971, on a rainy night in 1971. A man calling himself Dan Cooper boarded a plane from Portland to Seattle. Mid-flight, he passed a note to a stewardess claiming he had a bomb. His demand, $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. After the plane landed, authorities delivered the ransom. Cooper then forced the crew to take off again, flying low over the forests of Washington. Somewhere in the dark, he leaped out the back with the money and vanished. The FBI investigated for decades, searching rivers, forests, and even suspects who matched the description. But no trace of Cooper or most of the money was ever found. To this day, he remains the only airplane hijacker in U.S. history to never be caught. Case number 9, the Springfield Three, 1992. In Springfield, Missouri, 3 women, Cheryl Levitt, her daughter Susie Streeter, and Susie's friend Stacy McCall, vanished without a trace. Their purses, cars, and belongings were left behind in the house. The only sign of trouble? A broken porch light and a suspiciously neat crime scene. Police investigated possible suspects, from known criminals to stalkers, but no arrests were ever made. With no bodies and no evidence, the case turned into one of America's most puzzling disappearances. To this day, locals call them the Springfield Three, a haunting reminder of how people can vanish in plain sight. Case number 10, the Somerton Man, 1948, on a beach in Adelaide, Australia. The body of a well-dressed man was found propped against a seawall. He had no identification, no wallet, and all tags were removed from his clothes. In his pocket, police found a scrap of paper with 2 haunting words: "Shud," meaning it is finished. The phrase came from a book of Persian poetry, and inside that book were strange codes and phone numbers that led investigators nowhere. For decades, the man's identity remained a complete mystery. Even recent DNA testing suggests he may have been a local man named Carl Webb, but no one knows how or why he died. Case number 11, the Beaumont Children, 1966, on a summer day in Adelaide. 3 siblings, Jane, Arna, and Grant Beaumont, went to the beach. They never came home. Their belongings were found neatly tucked away, but no trace of the children was ever discovered. The case devastated Australia and led to one of the largest manhunts in the nation's history. Sightings poured in, suspects were questioned, and tips were chased for decades, but the trail always went cold. To this day, the Beaumont case remains Australia's most infamous unsolved disappearance. Case number 12, the Long Island Serial Killer. In 2010, police searching for a missing woman uncovered a horror along Ocean Parkway in Long Island, New York. The remains of multiple victims, mostly women connected to the sex trade, were discovered buried in the brush near Gilgo Beach. Over time, more bodies were found. Investigators linked at least 10 murders to what became known as the Long Island Serial Killer. Theories swirled. Was it a single killer or network of predators? or even law enforcement itself. For years, the case went cold. Recently, new evidence led to an arrest, but many believe that the full truth and the true number of victims is far from uncovered. From Elizabeth Short's brutal murder in Los Angeles, to D.B. Cooper vanishing into the night sky, the 3 children who walked onto an Australian beach and never returned. These cold cases remind us of one thing. Sometimes, the truth never surfaces. Decades pass, families wait. Evidence fades, yet the questions remain, hanging in the air like shadows that refuse to lift. And if these cases feel haunting, they're only the beginning. Because there are still files locked away, stories so strange, so terrifying, that they defy explanation. Some say the answers are already known. Others believe the secrets died with the people who kept them. But somewhere out there, the killer who was never caught, the child who was never found, and the mysteries that refuse to close are still waiting. And in our next story, we'll open one of those files.